We were driving on a long road trip. I was sitting in the passenger seat of the van, leaning my head against the cool glass. The sun was just going down, and I could hear the rhythmic breathing of my kids as they finally fell asleep. And I felt a call in my heart and in my mind, and with all of my neurodivergent hyperfocus, to start a podcast. I wasn't even sure what to call the podcast or what it would be about. But my wonderful husband was driving, and so I picked up my phone and I began to Google how to start a podcast. This road trip was about 5 hours long, and by the end, I had figured out how to start a podcast. I had outlined my first episode. I had begun the entire podcast, and I think within 48 hours, I had my first episode up and live. Talk about impulsivity. Hi, I'm Emily Hamblin, neurodivergent mom of 4, an emotional health coach for neurodivergent families. Today, I'm greeting you as the host of the Enlightening Motherhood podcast. This podcast began long before I ever had a business and before I even became an official emotional health coach, though there's a really interesting story to that I'll save for another day. What I want to do today is celebrate the fact that something that began as neurodivergent impulsivity 3 years ago on a cell phone during a road trip when my kids were sleeping and my husband was driving has today become a very thriving business that has helped thousands of parents around the world. So many people have asked for the behind the scenes of my business, and they want to know how things are going. I'm here to show up real, and I'm here to delve in. Let's go. Now, as a warning, as a neurodivergent person, I tend to lean into oversharing. I call it being authentic. I call it being real. If you really don't want to know all of the behind the scenes details and you don't want to know what really goes on in the online world when you start and run a business like this, it might not be the episode for you. But if you're curious or you'd like to know how I'm going to spin this to tie back into parenting and how it can help you as a parent of neurodivergent kids, because I'm not about teaching you business here, I'm actually here to help you and your family, then go ahead and stick around. Can't wait to dive in. So, first of all, some statistics for you. To be extremely real, this is my third year running this business as a solopreneur, and I have finally started to hire out a team, which is really exciting. But for the first year and a half, I didn't have a team at all. After that year and a half, I hired on a virtual assistant that I met through a bundle that we participated in together online, and she worked 1 to 2 hours a week for me. I just recently, a few months ago, hired our third assistant. She's fantastic, and she's working closer to 15 to 20 hours a week, and it feels amazing. Although I can tell you the executive functioning required to actually go through the hiring process and the onboarding process, and the fact that her first month it felt like I was paying to do more work because I had to train her to do all of the things that were just stuck up in my own head, swirling around with fantastic ideas, but to teach her how to do them and then to trust and to follow up. It's been a lot of work, but now I can see the effort paying off so much. The first year in business, when I began as a podcast, there was no business. It was just a hobby podcast. And I think we called it the Real Life Mom podcast or something. You can go listen to episode 1 if you want. It's just me laying on my couch, speaking into my iPhone, rambling about stuff. And that's how the first few episodes were. Then my wonderful friend, Ashley Schultz, I reached out to her and told her I started this podcast, and I think I was half joking, half serious, was like, hey, want to be my co-host? And she replied and was like, yeah, actually I really do. And then I was like, fantastic, yeah, join me. So Ashley is incredibly busy. She has 5 kids. She's neurodivergent. In her family of 7, there's so much neurodivergence and so much going on. So she tends to share an episode here on the podcast about once a quarter, and I love hearing from her. So that's how that began. After I began the podcast, I remember sitting in the dark, cozy room of my then little baby girl. She's now 3, of course. And I had just breastfed her and she was about to go down. And I just felt such a strong impulse. Not even an impulse, just really a prompting, a nudge, a strong encouragement in all of my intuition. I think it was religious. You can call it what you want, but I really felt an urge and a push to do more than just a podcast, to establish an official business where I can help parents on a deeper level. Because my own journey of what I've gone through as a parent, and at the time of starting that podcast 3 years ago, I was running an in-home micro school, and I was really doing a lot to help kids with their emotional regulation, and I was coaching their parents so that they could teach them at home and help them with emotional regulation. It's like the best of both worlds combined when I decided to bring that into the online space. So that first year, I remember when I decided to become a parent coach, I said, okay, I'm going to help overwhelmed moms, and I posted about it and I shared it, and I was so excited, and I registered my business. I did all the official legal things, began a website, and then I kind of like sat around and was like, oh, what do I do now? Anyways, that first year, I found a business coach that helped a lot, and it cost a lot of money because I didn't want to waste time. I wanted to start helping parents right away. That first year, after all of my expenses and everything that I spent on my business, registering the business coaching, all of the like website and tech things, I think I made around negative $6,500, like something in that ballpark, maybe negative $7,000. So that wasn't very much money made. You could say the revenue was $200, but the net revenue was after expenses. It was, at least taxes were easy to file that year, right? And I thought, well, this is great. I can only go up from here. I began reaching out to a lot of friends, maybe many of you listening to this podcast episode, and I thought, I just need to get this ball rolling. I had been, as a teacher and working so much with parents already, I was very comfortable and confident in my ability to help as a coach. But I just wanted some practice actually on the Zoom camera and with an official structure and a guide that I created. So I began reaching out to friends, and honestly, I offered free coaching calls to more than 100 people. And that's crazy because now a 1-hour coaching call with me costs well over $500. So it's a little mind-blowing to me now that back then I was just asking people, can I please coach you to practice? But I'm so glad that I did. Like, we all have to start somewhere. And this is a takeaway I want for you as a parent. You have to start somewhere, and sometimes it's not ideal and where you'll end up, but you just need to start taking action. And I'm really glad that I did, because I had a lot of friends come that said, oh, I'm really overwhelmed deciding what to make for dinner. And of course I could help them with that. They'd say, I'm overwhelmed because my kid wants to play one way and I want to play another way. And yeah, absolutely, I helped them with that. But when they came and they said, I'm really overwhelmed with my kids' meltdowns, it was like, ooh, I've got you. And I realized anytime someone that I was coaching wanted help with their child's emotions or their own emotions, it like struck a chord in me that was like, this is what I'm meant to do. So I'm grateful for that. From there, I created my very first program. It was a high-end mastermind called Confidently Momming Kids with Big Emotions. And I had what we call beta students. The first few people come and join me to help me build it. Probably not a big surprise, but most of the people that joined, like the very first people that joined, were actually parents of the students that were in my micro school, because they saw me working with their kids and they had already experienced a lot of the coaching that I had done with them for their children. So they joined, and that was fantastic. Afterwards, I shifted that to a membership model. It was called the Emotionally Healthy Families membership. That membership still exists today, although doors are usually closed. In this last year, what I've shifted to. Oh, by the way, that first year I made, negative thousands. The second year, I actually turned a profit, and I brought home several $1,000s. I still spent a lot. If you were to work out my pay per hour, it was probably less than $1 per hour. But we're not doing that math here. I did end up bringing home some money, which is really exciting for your second year of business. All right, so that was 2023, right? 2024, just a few weeks ago, we filed our taxes. And what was so exciting was that I had more than tripled the revenue from 2023. So the revenue, not including expenses and such, for 2023 was around $7,000. The revenue for 2024 was closer to $30,000. There were tons of expenses. That's not what I brought home, but still, what is really exciting about that is the fact that 2024 was considered a down year. In the online coaching and course creator space, most people reported having a significant decrease in revenue. And in that same year, when so many people were having a decrease in their revenue, I tripled mine. Okay, now I don't think that that's necessarily that I'm just some special unicorn, but really it shows that what I'm doing matters online. I also feel extremely blessed, right? Extremely blessed that my business is growing and blooming so well at a time that I'm empathetic towards other people where there is such a struggle. I also was really excited about that because I've managed to keep my prices extremely affordable, especially compared to similar services elsewhere. Here we are, halfway through 2025. I have around 19,000 people on my email list. That's active subscribers. That doesn't include people that unsubscribe because I make it easy to unsubscribe. I never want to force people into my world. It's always, you're welcome into my world if you want to be here. 19,000 people want to be in my world. And I still, guys, I'm a mom of 4. This is a closet that I'm in that we've repurposed into an office. And I'm sitting here, hot mess. I forgot to silence my phone. I'm going to silence it right now. And there's 19,000 people that are actively involved in my world. 19,000 parents that care so much about their family, about their child, and that want to have greater emotional health, that want more peace at home, that really want to become an emotionally empowered parent. Not only am I mind blown that they're in my world, but I am so inspired by them. Because seriously, this is just mind blowing how many people care about their child. Now, as we've come into 2025, I've also done what we call narrowing my niche. So instead of just helping parents with their kids' big emotions, I've really started to focus more on helping parents of neurodivergent kids. Of course, you don't need a diagnosis. And I market a lot to moms. I need to just say straightforward, we have a lot of dads that join us too. But there's feminine branding, and we might talk about menstrual cycles or uteruses or things like that. And if, I just want guys to know when they join, several have joined and they've loved it. They have had great experiences, that, they can expect a more feminine touch, and that's totally fine. We've also had speech language pathologists, psychologists, therapists, so many people, counselors, people in the mental health world join also. But really, my focus is still mostly on the moms. Everyone else is welcome, but the moms have become the main focus. And I decided to narrow to really do more for moms of neurodivergent children because partly in the last 3 years, we've understood more of our own children's neurodivergencies. I also finally was officially evaluated for ADHD, and it was like a slam dunk evaluation. It was like, oh yeah, you definitely have combined type ADHD. So that was really fun. It was not a surprise because I had already gone through 2 in-depth, actually more than that, multiple in-depth evaluations with my own children. And as I was filling out the paperwork and going through the evaluations for them, I was like, oh, I have that too. I have that too. And what's really funny, so ADHD rabbit hole, then we'll get back to my business. What's really funny is so much of it I was like, wait, doesn't everyone struggle with that? Oh, I thought it was unusual for people to, be able to sit still for an hour and pay attention to a boring speaker. Isn't that hard for everyone? No, I guess I'm extremely neurodivergent. Knowing what I know now, though, it's not a surprise. So I have narrowed that niche. So parents, whether or not the parent is neurodivergent, to help you better understand your child, where they're coming from, and to help you have that stronger relationship with them. And we really do need unique approaches and parenting tools to parenting neurodivergent children. That's also why I created what has now become my flagship course. And I'm so oh my goodness, so proud of this program, the Neurodivergent Survival Kit. And we have welcomed in, I think, close to 50 students so far. I need to go and check. Of course, I invited all of my existing emotionally healthy families members to join us in that beta build where we built the program together. We went through that beta build. I hyper-focused and spent several months since that beta build refining and making the lessons even better and more accessible, I included my team, and now there's bite-sized lessons that parents can go through to help them through all of the things, right? Becoming that anchor for their child, making it really easy and simpler to understand their child's intense emotions, how to handle the meltdowns, how to come up with a plan so that there's less meltdowns, how to improve that relationship with yourself, what to do with that mom guilt, how to improve that relationship with your child before you even start working on behavior, how to really empower your child emotionally, how to become an emotion coach and an emotional intelligence teacher, right? So anyways, that's been a fantastic journey. And what's really exciting is seeing how much it's helping the parents in there. We're getting just some mind-blowing comments. I could read them to you directly if you want, but we're just getting so much incredible feedback on how this is helping parents. And they say, I felt like I tried everything and I was about to give up, but I gave it one more go. I tried the neurodivergent survival kit and oh my goodness, this is what's been missing. So that is what this is about. I see it changing parents' lives. I see it changing, by extension, their children's lives, their families' lives, and the ripple effect has been incredible. So that's where we're at for the behind the scenes. If you want to know what a typical workday looks like for me, I'm rubbing my face because the last 2 weeks I've had sick kids, and usually I have about a 3-hour window 3 days a week where I get to work. I bring all of my kids to school. My youngest, my 3-year-old, is in a preschool co-op, which I love. We have 3 other wonderful families, and we each take a turn 1 day a week hosting preschool. So I still get to run a preschool, which I love. It's just 1 day a week. And then the other 3 days a week, my daughter gets to go and hang out with them. Then on Fridays, my husband doesn't have work. He takes all the kids and I have a full work day. Today's a Friday, so it's a full work day. But the last few weeks, I've had kids home from school a lot, sick kids. I had to cancel my preschool. Like, it's been one of those weeks where I'm like, okay, it's fine. But we've gotten through it. So let's bring this back to parenting too, okay? You will always have unexpected bumps in the road in parenting. Just trust you're going to get through it. And what did I do? I reached out for support. I doubled my virtual assistant's hours, and she was very happy to have more hours. I gave her more work. I assigned more to her. I let more go. And that's the same thing that we do in parenting. We reach out for support. Sometimes if you have the financial means, you'll hire out support, and that's okay. Totally fine. I've started to hire someone to clean my house again, and I love it. She just does our bathrooms and the downstairs floor. She mops it every week, and I'm so happy for it, right? So when you do, you need to reach out for support. Remember, that's not a shameful thing. That's like an incredible thing that you should be proud of, right? And many of the parents that reach out to me for support, whether it's coming to our free masterclass, by the way, if you haven't come to that, you're missing out. Go to emily-hamblin.com/class and you will love it. But that, whether it's coming to our free masterclass, whether it's joining one of our paid programs, or whether it's a little sneak peek, I have a lot of smaller offers that I'm planning to extend to you. Not quite ready to announce them yet, but you're going to love them. But whatever it is that you're reaching out for that support in your parenting, and you stop thinking you need to do this alone. We don't need to feel proud for like, oh, I did it all by myself. What if we feel proud for like, oh, I knew who to ask for support and when to reach out when I needed it as a parent. Okay, let's feel proud about that. Okay, so coming back to our business, that's the behind the scenes. That's how I get work done. The days that my kids were sick, it did mean some of the evenings I would have, my wonderful husband would do bedtime without me. Sometimes I'll hire a babysitter to play with my kids while I play. But really, I end up working about 20-ish hours a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes a lot less, sometimes a lot more. And we just make it work. We just keep going forward. And the reason I do it, obviously, if you worked out my dollar per hour compared to what I could be getting with like multiple teaching degrees and advanced degrees and experience out the wazoo, obviously my main reason for doing this isn't just the fact that I get to pay myself. Although, of course, I'm very appreciative of that ability to be supported financially for all of everything I'm bringing out into the world, right? Of course, that's much appreciated. But the biggest excitement for me is to see how much it helps parents and to see how much this is changing families around the world. That's why I do what I do. I would love to know, what is your why? Why are you not giving up on your kid? How do you keep going even when life is totally unpredictable? How do you reach out and get support? And of course, if you're looking for an emotional health coach to help you in the journey, I would love if you would consider joining me. Because I can tell you, not only do I get it, I also have the tools to help you get through it and to completely go from feeling exhausted, stressed, overwhelmed, worried, to feeling so much more confident, calm, relieved, supported, heard. Before we hop off, I want to make sure you know where you can get more support from me. You can visit my website at emily-hamblin.com. And if you know you're ready to jump into what has become one of my very favorite things that I give away for free, you can see when I happen to be teaching my next free masterclass by going to emily-hamblin.com/class. See you soon.